Today, neuroscience and psychology will reveal to you what really lies behind the behavior of people who prefer solitude. And maybe, just maybe, in the end, you'll understand a little more about yourself and how your brain really works. Have you ever met someone who seems to feel good being alone? While many seek companionship, parties, and constant socializing, these people seem to find peace in silence. But what does the brain reveal about those who prefer solitude? Is it shyness, isolation, or is there something much more interesting going on inside the mind? Today, we're going to delve into what neuroscience and psychology say about the solitary brain, and you may find that being alone is much more powerful than you think. First, it's important to separate two things: imposed loneliness and chosen loneliness. Imposed loneliness is painful isolation, which the brain interprets as a threat, activating the amygdala, the emotional center linked to fear and rejection. But chosen loneliness is completely different. When a person chooses to spend time alone, the brain activates other regions such as the prefrontal cortex, responsible for self-reflection, and the hippocampus, linked to memory and learning. In simple terms, the brain enters a state of reorganization and clarity. It is in this silence that it processes experiences, emotions, and thoughts. It is where the mind literally clears itself. People who enjoy solitude do not necessarily flee from the world. They recharge their energy within it. While the social brain seeks external stimulation, the introspective brain seeks internal coherence. Many introverts have a more sensitive dopamine system. This means that busy environments can cause sensory overload, leading the brain to seek silence as a form of balance. Instead of running away, it is simply trying to preserve stability. In other words, those who prefer solitude generally have more refined emotional self-control, a clearer sense of identity, and a lesser need for social validation. Lucas has always been the type of person who liked to observe more than talk. While his friends planned outings every weekend, he preferred to walk alone in the park, listening to music and reflecting on life. For a long time, he thought there was something wrong with that. But over time, he realized that it was during these moments that his best ideas came to him. He discovered that when he was alone, his brain seemed to function at a different frequency. And science confirms this. During these periods of introspection, the brain activates what is known as the default mode network, a set of areas responsible for imagination, creativity, and self-awareness. This is where the brain connects the past, present, and future, creating a mental map of who we are. So for Lucas, being alone was not isolation. It was a laboratory of consciousness. And perhaps, for those who prefer solitude, the same thing is happening, a deep dive into their own minds. Neuroscience studies show that silence stimulates neurogenesis, or the creation of new neurons in the hippocampus. This improves memory, focus, and even emotional balance. In addition, short periods of introspection reduce levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. In other words, being alone, when done in moderation, strengthens the brain. It's as if the mind says, now I can breathe. That's why many creative people, writers, scientists, artists, value solitude so much. It's not antisocial, it's deep self-connection. Healthy solitude is not the absence of love or social life. It is the space where the brain finds coherence, where the soul talks to itself without interruption. Those who learn to be alone discover something that few achieve: emotional freedom. And perhaps that is why, in such a noisy world, the most serene minds are those that know how to appreciate the sound of their own silence. So what does your brain show you when you are alone? Fear or clarity? Perhaps solitude is just the clearest mirror of our own consciousness. If this video made you think, comment below, I choose to be at peace with myself. And remember, loneliness is not the end of connection. It is the beginning of a deeper connection with yourself. If this content has added value to your life in any way, please help us by leaving your like and subscribing so you can show us that we are doing a good job. See you soon.